Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today I'm going to show you how to use watercolor pencils directly on your stamp to get some cool effects. And here I have these beautiful images from About Art Accents from the Year of the Horse 2014 line. And if you check out my blog, I'll be giving away a set of these stamps later on this week. My blog address is in the video description under the video, so check that out and make sure you subscribe over there too so you don't miss a chance to win something cool. I give away beautiful stamps from About Art Accents every month, so you definitely want to get your name in the draw for that. So the first thing we're going to do is get the paper you want to stamp on, and there is a sketch challenge over at Oriental Stamp Art which uses this layout. So I cut this paper ahead of time, and I didn't have a fancy die, but I did have this old Fiskars template, so you may even have this in your stash that you can use as a template to play along there too. Alright, so I'm going to use inktense pencils, and the first thing I'm going to do, and I find this works a little bit better than spraying the stamp, is actually just to brush the stamp with some water when you're using watercolor pencils. This is a brush stroke horse that I'm doing. Let me turn this around so you can see it right side up. Alrighty, and we're going to color in with our lightest color first. It doesn't really matter what order you go in, but I like to know that I'm getting coverage on everything first, and that way if I don't color as perfectly as I think I am, then at least there's something there and I'm going to get some sort of impression, and I'm not going to have skipped spots, especially with something like this as it's very stylized. Alright, and this was Baked Earth, which is just kind of like a honey brown color. Then I'm going to use some of this, what is this, willow brown, just to give some shadows under the belly and on the chest, under the neck here. And some madder brown. I'm just going to kind of thump that in, just to, you know, it's nice to have an interesting variety of colors when you have such a kind of solid image like this. This is more like a kind of a solid or shadow image stamp here. And then I'm going to use dark chocolate to do the hair and the hooves, and I am going to dot my my pencil in the water because I did notice that part of the rubber was drying up, so I want to make sure that I get a lot of good color there. And the cool thing about these inktense pencils is that once they're dry, like on the paper, you can actually paint over them and they shouldn't lift. You do have to be careful with the stamping a little bit, 'cause sometimes you get bigger gobs, but they're really great. I really want the inktense blocks, but I can't quite justify buying them yet, so we'll see. This is kind of another experiment to see if I can do the inktense block techniques with my regular pencils, and I want to get a little more juiciness over here. Now, because it's already started to dry up a bit, I'm going to spray this, but I'm actually going to spray in the air and then kind of whoosh it through, like you know when you're at like Macy's and you're testing out the perfume and you kind of spray it and walk through it so you don't smell like a perfume factory. So there we go, that's kind of what you want to do. And I'm going to stamp this kind of off to the side so I have a little bit more room to play on this paper if I decide I want to collage some other stamps in. Now, whenever I stamp, even if it's just with watercolor pencils or crayons or ink or whatever, I give it a couple seconds for the ink to transfer from the rubber onto the paper. And there we go. It's a pretty good image. Now, this is going to take a few minutes to dry, so to speed things along, I'm actually going to use my heat tool. You'll see how quick and easy it is, actually. And by making the watercolor pencil nice and juicy, it's actually going to lock it into that paper a little bit better. This is riveting, isn't it? I should have paused the video. Oh no, they want to see me dry this. It's very fascinating. All right, that didn't take too long. Sometimes, though, people ask me how long it takes to dry something, so I figure somebody's going to benefit from that. Alright, so what I have here is a piece of masking tape, and what I've done is I've stuck it on my sweater and then peeled off so it's not too sticky, because fresh masking tape can be a little too sticky for your cardstock and tear it. So what I'm doing is just sticking it across to make a horizon line. Hopefully that's fairly straight. And I'm going to use some light mellow green. That's not the name of the color, but that's I'm kind of just looking for kind of a mellow green color just to color in the bottom here. And the masking tape just helps me keep a nice straight line. Or you could sponge it, and that masking tape would keep the ink where you want it. And then I'm just gonna wash off my brush because I have no idea what's on there. There could be any color on there. And I'm just gonna liquefy it, and I can go over, but you could see what I was talking about the sometimes when you stamp, the color doesn't lock down to the paper as much. We've got that situation going on there, but I actually kind of want a little shadow under the horse, so I'm working with that. And while that is wet, I'm actually going to take another shade of green, and I'm going to flick some color on there just for a little depth. And I'm going to go in with some of that color I already used too. And I'm also going to use a little brown. And where it hits the drier areas, like if you look over here, you can see I have more defined spots because it's a little drier over there. Where it's wetter, I get bigger speckles. So it just kind of adds a little interest to your piece. So working on wet paper, working on dry paper, you want to have I think a variety of, variety of different marks and techniques so that you get a really interesting, stamped piece. There we go, and I'm concentrating a little bit of the brown near the feet to kind of give it a little movement and kind of look like it's kind of been tromping and, disturbing the ground a little bit. All right, and towards the horizon line, I would like it a little bit cooler and darker, so I'm going in with this dark green again and kind of just, what do you want to call it, just kind of directing it to the back. There we go. I was watching some of the CHA coverage, and one of the new things coming out is well, it's not really new to anyone that's been stamping for a while, because Stampin' Up! Used to have it. It's a color spritzer. Tim Holtz has come out with one. It's pretty much the same thing, and you get a very similar look by flicking water over your watercolor pencils as you do from the color spritzer with your markers. So it's just another way to get a similar technique. When you remove your tape, just be very careful that you don't tear your paper, and see how easy that comes up because I stuck it to my sweater. So that's why I do that. Now I've used this like 3 or 4 times, so I'm actually going to trash this now because it's really not going to stick down very well. To do the sky, what I'm going to do is grab a little of this blue. This is just, what's this called? Dark aquamarine, and I'm just going to load up my brush because I want a very soft, softer blue. And I'm just going to kind of loosely kind of paint. I'm kind of negative painting. I'm painting around the clouds. Now, once your inktense pencils or any watercolor pencils touches the paper when you're using it like this, it's going to be pretty well there. So, don't worry about it too much. Just paint it and let the paint go where it may, and try not to stress about it or overwork it, because it's going to do what it wants to do. You can see that first brush stroke is really dark because I had a little more paint on there, but that's all right. It's not a big deal. It's always a little bit darker towards the top of the sky anyway, and lighter towards the horizon, so that's alright. Alright, and to make a little bit of mountain color, I'm going to use kind of a mauve, Dusty Rose or something. I thought a template was going to fall down on my stuff. Almost did. What color is this anyway? This is Dusky Purple. That's a nice dull purple color. So your color's far away from you. You want them to be kind of dull and not vivid, because the duller colors, duller and cooler, will tend to fade away, where brighter and warmer colors will tend to come forward. So I use that warmer yellow towards the front, and I'm using this purple, this dusky purple towards the back. And I'm going to bring that right up into the sky, and if it blends with some of my my sky, I'm not going to be upset, because that'll actually look realistic, because as you get further away from something, it will get fuzzier. I think I just picked up the wrong purple, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's card making. It should be relaxing and fun. Nothing to worry about here. There we go. And there is our little landscape. And what I'm going to do is actually hit this one more time with the heat gun. But first, I think I want a little more color on the back of that horse. I think maybe with a little bit of this light brown color, just kind of brush over that, just to fill them in a little bit. It's up to you whether you want to do that. I just think since I have a colored background, I feel like I'd have a little bit more definition there. And you can even go in and you can add some of that like dark chocolate color to the hooves if you feel like you want a little bit more. You could do that now before you heat set. Maybe I'll just add a little bit of, and it'll also kind of give it a little bit more of that brush stroke look. And you have this wonderful foundation to go from, so you don't have to feel like you're, creating from scratch. You know, it's not freehand. You've got a little guideline to work from, which I really like that. These are so well designed that you can kind of add to them, but you've got that wonderful foundation of structure that this rubber stamp provides. I find that is the case with most stamps from About Art Accents. Alright, let's hit this with a heat gun again really quick, and then we'll stamp a little in the background, and then we'll put our card together. Last time I did this, this is a second take of this video because I stamped in the sky, but it was a little wet and I didn't realize it, and it bled, my stamp bled all over the place, so I decided I was going to redo that. Okay. And you'll notice you have a little color shift when it dries. It gets a little bit lighter, as with any watercolor. Alright, just kind of bend it back. It's getting a little out of control here. And I think I will use the two stamps that I did in the original. I think I'll put the seal up here in the top, because it looks kind of like a sun. So what I'm going to do is just brush a little water on my stamp. Now when you have a really detailed stamp, it's not going to stamp perfectly with watercolor pencils. You're much better off to do more of your stylized shadow images, botanicals, things that are very organic looking, like your horse. But I would just really like this, and I kind of like how you get the look of a sumi-e artist chop. When you do this with a stamp, you get kind of that look, so I kind of wanted that. But I just wanted to let you know that that's why it's kind of you know, just juicy and not very detailed, not very sharp, because, you know, certain stamps just work better for that. But I'm actually doing this on purpose because I want that look with this type of card that I'm making. All right, we got our 2014 at the bottom, our little seal at the top, and now what I'm going to do is put this card together. I put this together in the other video, but since I messed up my panel, I'll show you the panel. It's not, I mean, it was fine. It was just the top. I messed that up, but yeah, whatever. You know, that happens. It's not a big deal. And let's just glue that down there. My two little red areas are still wet, so I'm just going to use a little hot glue because I won't have to press so hard with that. Oh, I'm running out of glue. My goodness, I'm not doing well today with the videos. I'm out of glue. I'm stamping things on wet backgrounds. I'm a mess. I'm a mess today, I tell ya. That's alright. I could sneak a little more adhesive under there later, I guess. Well, there you have it. Please tune into my blog so you can have a chance to win these beautiful stamps. I'm going to somehow try to work these guys in here because I like these stamps. I don't know. Do I have room for them? Probably not. I do want to stick them in there, but sometimes less is more. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this video. And until next time, happy crafting.